Well, it's 12 June, and today is it's Angrytime with Alf. So today, I guess it should be no surprise that we're going to be talking about the Karmelo Anthony thing. So there's a lot of that shit that pissed me off. I didn't really follow the trial a whole lot. I've just seen a lot of the aftermath. And there's a lot. And there's a lot of misconceptions that everybody's gotten. You'll have to excuse the fan noise. It's really fucking hot. And the black flies are just terrible this afternoon out here in Chumuckla. But before I get into all that, welcome. For those of you that don't know, or if you're just tuning in or what the fuck ever. I do this every Friday. At least I try to do it every Friday. I'm a little late today. I thought I had this stuff figured out. I'm able to do the camera controls on my watch. I figured that out, but this damn gimbal thing is giving me problems. And was about ready to hurl it out into the yard. So I'm sweating a little bit because my blood pressure's through the roof because of the gimbal is giving me fits. So hopefully the fan's not picking up too much noise on the mic. And if it is, oh well, I'll just have to deal with it. So I'm going to talk a little louder. I went fishing earlier this week. I posted that on Facebook. I caught 12 Spanish fucking flies, which was good because I went out there at 5 o'clock that morning and came off the pier about 9. So I was finished fishing by about 8 o'clock. I had the cooler full. So the wife and I ate very good the other night, which was Wednesday night. So the trash ran on Thursday. So I was able to get the fish carcasses in the trash so they weren't stinking up the house. That's not why the flies are here. The flies come out here every summer, or every spring rather, and they're fucking terrible. So there's a big horse farm that's not too far from here, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But I bought some of those. There's some kind of hanging fly traps, and they smell like just absolute death. It's almost as bad as human decomp, and that's pretty fucking stinky. But they smell really bad. It cut down on the flies a little bit, but there's still plenty of them hanging around, and I think it has to do with the fact that I've got plants on the back porch. So I'm gonna have to move some of the plants around because they keep getting in the damn house. And somebody in their infinite fucking wisdom decided to change the composition of those fly tapes the shit that you can pull out and hang up, that they used to have an attractant on them, and now they don't. Now it's just some sticky shit that gets on every goddamn thing, and it doesn't attract flies, because I've had a couple of them hanging up in the house because they managed to get in the damn house. And those Zevo things don't really catch flies. They catch fruit flies and shit, but they don't catch these damn black flies. But the fly tape things used to work. They used to work phenomenally well. But somewhere along the line, somebody made the change in the chemical composition, or left out an ingredient, and they don't work worth a fuck anymore. So that pissed me off. But that pissed me off a long time ago, not just this week. But fuck, it's hot. But anyway, back to the Karmelo Anthony thing. They're trying to portray him as being this nice and kind person that had a 3.7 GPA and all this other shit. Well, you know who else was nice and kind and compassionate and well looked upon by his community? John Wayne fucking Gacy. He did a lot of shit for his community, and he had like 20 or 30 something fucking bodies in his crawl space. Then there was, let's see, Dennis Rader was also looked upon favorably by his community, and he terrorized Wichita, Kansas for a long fucking time, a really long fucking time, because I followed the BTK thing quite a bit when I was in law enforcement. And I was real happy when they caught him. And then there was the most charming serial killer of all that I think was Ted Bundy. You know, Ted Bundy was caught in Pensacola one time after one of his escapes, and he was thought of as very charming, and he had high grades. He had mostly A's and B's at Washington State. I don't know what his GPA was. I tried to look it up, but they didn't apparently keep GPAs back then. But you know, does that mean that those guys should be looked upon favorably and get off scot-free for what they did? You know, no, they shouldn't. And neither should Karmelo Anthony. He shouldn't get off scot-free just because he had a 3.7 GPA and was a track star or a good football player. And that's the other thing, is what people don't realize is he's not this, you know, 5'6" or 5'8", 130-pound dude. He was like 6'2" and was pushing 210 when he was playing football. So he was not a little boy. So he was almost the same size as Austin Metcalf. So he wasn't this shy, timid person that they're trying to make him out to be. Look it up. But then again, I have to say, for YouTube, this is all my personal opinion and may or may not be fact. But, you know, go fact check it if you want. But he was not a little boy. He was not just a tiny child, and he was actually older than Metcalf. So saying that he's an innocent child, well, that doesn't pan out either. He was older than Metcalf was, but doesn't excuse what he did. And I think it got off light. He should be put to fucking death. It's pretty evident based on the testimony and everything. He went there with the intention of being a pain in the ass to somebody. I don't know if he intended to be a pain in the ass to Metcalf, but he was intended to be a pain in the ass to somebody there. Otherwise, why would you carry a fucking knife in your backpack when you're not supposed to carry knives at school? That's a pretty much given rule to any damn school that you go to. But, you know, according to Jasmine Crockett, it was such a little knife that if she were arguing the case, that she thinks that she would argue that it wasn't a deadly weapon just based on size alone, even though she doesn't know exactly what kind of knife it was. That's the fucking dumbest goddamn thing I've heard in a long time. You know, that's another one-sided racial component of all this bullshit. And it is a racial component because they made it racial, or she's making it racial. There's a lot of people making this shit racial, and it's not white folks. You know, you look at what's going on outside the fucking courthouse. But back to Jasmine Crockett, you know, that it's not a fucking deadly weapon because it was such a small fucking blade. Well, the counter argument to that is Metcalf is fucking dead, so it's a deadly fucking weapon. Just on size alone doesn't necessarily, that doesn't fucking hold water. My pipe, can be a deadly weapon because if I hold it properly and jam it into your fucking eye socket and go in there and fucking root around a little bit until I scramble your fucking brain up, it can kill you. So this pipe can be a deadly weapon. By itself, as I'm using it right now, is it a deadly weapon? No, it's not. By definition and by what you use it for, by what it's designed to be used for, it's not a deadly weapon. But anything can be turned into a deadly weapon if you try hard enough. Well, maybe not a wet spaghetti noodle can't. Or maybe it can. I don't know. If you've got one long enough, maybe you could use it as a garrote or something. But it'd have to have a pretty good tensile strength. But I haven't tested the tensile strength on spaghetti noodles. I guess it would have to be, you know, just prior to al dente phase. But, you know, that's just the mental fucking gymnastics that some of these fucking people will jump through to try to fucking defend this shit. And there is no defense for it. There's not. You know? It never ceases to fucking amaze me about that shit. And it really pisses me off. And it should piss a lot of people off. Both black and white. Not just white people. It should piss black people off too. It should piss off Mexicans. It should piss off Asians. It should piss everybody off. You know, regardless of your fucking skin color, you don't have the fucking right to kill somebody because they disrespected you. You know, street cred doesn't mean dick in the big scheme of things. You know, when you're in fucking high school, when you're 17 fucking years old, when you get to be my fucking age, no one gives a fuck about what I did in high school. I don't give a fuck about what I did in high school. You know, no one gives a shit. No one cares. None of my high school friends, I don't talk to any of my high school friends. Occasionally I might poke fun at them on Facebook every once in a while, but that's about the gist of it. Other than that, they don't give a rat fuck about what I accomplished or didn't accomplish in high school. And I don't give a rat fuck about what they accomplished or didn't accomplish in high school. And that's the reality of it. That's fucking life. You know, deal with it. Yeah, and same thing goes with college. No one gives a shit about what you do in college, unless maybe you're a football player and you go on to do something in the NFL, which I don't give two fucks about the NFL either. I don't care about the NFL. There's only one person that I give a shit if they do anything with the NFL, and that's one of my great nephews. If he does something in the NFL, I might start watching again, but beyond that, fuck the NFL. I could give two shits about them. You know, don't be political, and I might watch the sport again. But basically, I quit watching when Lawrence Taylor retired anyway, because he was the best fucking linebacker that ever played the game, even though he snorted a shitload of cocaine. And yes, I know there was some fucking issues about he probably, well, I think he did actually fuck a 15-year-old girl, but whatever. I think he got charged with it, or if he didn't get charged with it, again, if you've got fucking money and you can get an attorney, you can get away with a lot of shit. You know, case in point, OJ. You know, but I mean, fuck. And I know this is probably a little bit of incoherent fucking prattling a little bit and fucking randomness, but you know, that shit does fucking piss me off, and it should piss a lot of people off. You know, when Chauvin was convicted of killing St. George Floyd, there was no fucking outcry outside the courthouse. There were no... white people weren't out jumping up in black people's faces, screaming and yelling. You know, and it's been proven beyond reasonable fucking doubt that Chauvin did not kill George Floyd. The medical examiner's report clearly fucking states that didn't happen. You know, and you can argue up and down one way or the other. The ME didn't fucking lie about that shit. The ME's report definitely shows that Karmelo Anthony killed Austin Metcalf. You can't argue about that. You know, and then you see the pictures that I've seen on Facebook and Reddit and X that, now whether they're true or not, I don't know. But if they're true, of people going to Metcalf's grave and pissing on his grave. I find that to be the most disrespectful thing that I think I've seen done yet. To my recollection, I don't think anybody did that to George Floyd's grave. You know, and hell, he was paraded around. I don't know how many cities did they have these giant ceremonies for him. You know, and he was a fucking wife beater, a woman beater, and was high as fuck on fentanyl and cocaine and God knows what else. But Nobody's pissing on his grave. You know, I haven't seen any white supremacists or neo-Nazis or Nazis or skinheads doing that shit to his gravesite. So it just says a lot about people's character. A lot about their fucking character when they're doing shit like that. You know, I spent almost 20 years as a deputy, and I got called a lot of shit by a lot of people. And not once in my career did I ever let race play into how I treated people. Ever. Not ever. You know, I had the race card thrown back at me a couple of times, or it was tried. I had a young lady tell me one night around, I don't know, it was probably around midnight, that the only reason that I stopped her was because she was black. And this happened to be on Highway 87, and if anybody that lives around this community will know where I'm talking about. It was on 87 up in the reservation. It's 4-lane highway, and I stopped her for speeding. She was southbound and I was northbound. So, 4-lane road. I was driving in the left-hand lane northbound. She was in the southbound lanes, and I don't remember which lane she was in, but she was southbound, and there's a median in between us. But I stopped her because she was black, and it was around midnight. I do remember that. So it was dark, but I stopped her because she was black. And I asked her that I think she was doing about 65 and a 45, because I didn't stop people unless they were doing at least 20 over. And if I stopped you were getting a ticket. And I told her, you were doing 65 and a 45. I'm doing at least 55 going northbound. That we had a closing speed of like 100 miles an hour. So how in the hell am I supposed to be able to tell what color you are driving that vehicle? There's absolutely no way humanly possible I would be able to tell what color you are, even in daylight, much less at night. So that didn't hold water. And that was before body cams. I wish we'd had body cams back then when that happened. And I think that's really the only time that somebody tried any shit like that. Oh, and then there was the sovereign citizen thing where I'm inadvertently on A&E for some shit dealing with a sovereign citizen in the Winn-Dixie parking lot in Navarre. But that wasn't, I don't think they said anything racial about it, but he said something about he was going to have my soul that night, whatever the fuck that meant. But anyway, but never once did I let race factor in as to how I treated people, because it didn't fucking matter. You know, if you don't act like a fucking asshole, then I didn't treat you like a fucking asshole. But if you acted like an asshole, well, then I'm going to be an asshole, and I'm going to win the asshole contest. Whether you went to jail or not, I'm still going to be the bigger asshole. And you can ask all my former coworkers, I can be a pretty big fucking asshole, even though I'm only like 5'5" or 5'6" on a good day with new boots on. So I guess that brings me to my final point, which is, you know, the one lady that was outside the courthouse screaming and ranting and raving about, well, what do I tell my 5 boys? What do I tell my 5 boys? Well, here's what you tell your 5 boys. Don't be fucking dicks. Don't be fucking assholes in fucking life. That's what you tell your 5 fucking boys. Tell them, treat people with dignity and respect, and it'll come back to them. But if they go out acting like fucking dicks, jerks, morons, thugs, assholes, fucking assholes, or otherwise degenerates, they're going to get treated accordingly. And some people will probably treat them a little worse than that, than what other people will. Because there's a lot of people that are white that are getting really fucking tired of some behavior by certain people. You know? There's a lot of people that are getting tired of it based on what I'm seeing. So, biggest thing is treat people how you don't want to be treated. If you don't want to be treated like a dick, don't be a fucking dick. Now, I think that's a pretty good way to go through fucking life, both personally and professionally. Don't be a fucking jerk. You know, there's a time and a place for it. There's a time and a place to be an asshole. And it's not all the time. Now, if I ruffled some feathers on that, well, oh fucking well, too bad, so sad. This is all my fucking personal opinion. You know, again, this is just me having some random thoughts throughout the fucking week, but that's the biggest thing that happened this fucking week was the Karmelo Anthony trial. But there's been some really stupid fucking shit that's been said on fucking TV and online about it. And it would be the same fucking thing that if he was fucking white and stabbed somebody else and a fucking attorney got on fucking television and said, well, just based on the size of the knife alone, I would say it wasn't a deadly weapon. I would say it was fucking stupid from them to say that shit too. Because that's a fucking retarded statement to make. You know, and again, I'm not an expert on any of this shit. So, I don't have a fucking degree in anything. You know, but I did pick up on human psychology a little bit while I worked as a law enforcement officer. So, I've got 20 years, almost 20 years of doing that, 19 and a half. And then 6 years as a dispatcher, so I've heard people acting like stupid morons on the phone too. And I've also listened to the mental anguish of people on the phone. But anyway, I guess that's about the end of this fucking rant. So, trying to think of a high note to end on, but I'm not sure that I can, because it's been kind of a fucking stupid fucking week this week. Well, I guess on a high note, figured out I gained a lot more weight. So I have renamed my scale Fat Shamer. So when I look at it and see my shit on the fucking phone, I look on my phone and now it says Fat Shamer. If I could figure out how to do fucking screenshots and put that shit in here and actually show it to you, I'd show it to you. But I can't show you on my phone because I'm using my phone to record this. So I haven't figured that shit out yet. But one of these days I'll figure out how to do all that through the magic of editing and all that bullshit, but I'm just not interested in doing it right now. But anyway, I guess that's the end of this Angry Time with Alf. Thanks for watching, and friends and family, y'all watch your sixes, and I'll talk to you next week.